Good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone is having an amazing Wednesday. It's Wednesday, July 2nd. We are in July, second half of the year, third quarter. I'm excited for you to be here. For those of you that are brand new, I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. This is Morning Inspiration with Friends. We're here live every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. And I will welcome you if you are on YouTube to hit that like button and subscribe. Today's message is a part 2 of yesterday's message. Yesterday, we were speaking about unlocking and learning the version of you that you have never met, and talking about the different tools that you can utilize to help you in that discovery. So, yesterday's message, we spoke about personality assessments, right? Just the regular Myers Briggs, four letters, introvert or extrovert, and then the other three categories will tell you. And I gave you the link, so you did not go to the video from yesterday. If you're on YouTube, YouTube is a lot easier to typically find it because I put everything in a playlist. So if you go back to yesterday's video, you will be able to see and click on the link in the description to take your own free personality assessment if you don't know it. And I will always say, and I said this yesterday as well, these type of assessments you should do quite often, especially if there's been any kind of like major life shift in your life. If there's anything that drastically changed in your life, then it might be time for, and I'm talking about any trauma in your life that you personally have gone through, spiritual awakenings. You know, for me, when I redid mine after I had that relationship with God, and it really got strong and I understood what that really meant, when I did it, mine shifted a little bit, right? It shouldn't all drastically shift. One part of your personality type might have an adjustment depending on whatever that situation is, right? So that's something I just wanted to bring up. So today I wanted to talk to you about, and I wasn't sure if there is really a free version of this assessment. I don't know if you ever heard of the DISC assessment, DISC assessment. I took this assessment in 2021 when I did a boot camp with the motivational speaker, Eric Thomas. I don't know if you guys know Eric Thomas, but he was the one that introduced the DISC assessment to me. I know other people who are really big on personal development and professional development, and everyone else has done it in some other kind of John Maxwell, any type of group setting that's helping you to grow and identify and learn who you are. And so I'm going to share my DISC assessment that I took when I was working with Eric Thomas in December of 2021. Over the weekend, I did go through it. And it was very interesting because a few things really came up in it that, especially around like the ways to communicate, that was a very interesting part for me that made sense to me. So I have the screen open. So let me share. Okay, I think, oh wait, it's not, here it is. Okay, so this is mine, right? So you see, I'm not lying to y'all, no fluff. This was taken December 4th, 2021, right? Unfortunately, if you are typing into the chat, I will not be able to see, but, oh, matter of fact, hold on. Let me stop sharing for a moment. Let me share another way. Let me share a different way because I want you to really get an understanding and see what this assessment can reveal to you. Now, it is very lengthy. We're not going to go page by page, but we are going to at least take a look at what this looks like. Hey, Paula, good morning. Happy Wednesday. We're just getting really started. We're talking about the DISC assessment. Paula, have you ever taken one of the DISC assessments? Well, not one of. Have you ever taken the DISC assessment before? I'm just curious. So let's add this to the stage. Okay. And can we zoom in? Hopefully we can zoom in. Okay. Probably not. Okay. So Hopefully you can see this as best. Okay, so Paula has done it. Yes. So the DISC assessment has been used. I know people have used it also for careers. So some companies will personally have you do one. Yeah, like Paula said, years ago you might have done it. I know me, 2021. Prior to that, I don't think I don't recall ever knowing or learning about the DISC assessment until I did that boot camp with Eric Thomas. So you get four different letters, right? So the D is how you decide, right? So your ability, and I'm just gonna because it's like a whole bunch of information. So I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. So the D is for decisive, right? So it's your preference for problem solving and getting results. That's what the D represents. The I is going to represent the way that you interact with people. So your preference for interacting with others and showing your emotions. The S is for stability. It is your preference for pacing, for persistence and steadiness. And C is for cautious, your preference for procedures, standards, and protocols. And so that is actually outlined on the actual report. And this report is very lengthy. I think this report is about 22 pages. So you do get like a full understanding. It will break down each of the different dimensions, but then it will break down yours. And so depending on who you are and how you answer those questions, like I said, I know that I just found out before we got started that the same website that I shared yesterday for the personality assessment, there is a free version of the DISC assessment. The DISC assessment that I took was a paid version. So that's why I believe my report and probably the one that Paula probably took was probably the paid full, because I know it took a while for me to answer all of those questions. But people are always trying to recreate this so that you can have a real understanding of who you are. And so there's like the report, and I'm just going to highlight some of the points that they said, like that the report is going to identify your behavioral strengths, your style summary, so the way that your comparisons for your natural and adaptive behavior styles, your communication, right, ideal job climate. So that's going to help you identify your ideal work environment, the effectiveness, training and learning style. You learn so much from this one little report. And it's not a little report, but you learn so much. So I really recommend that if you are really trying to identify, you're like, if you just feel lost, you're like, you know what, Tanisha, I don't really know who I am. I don't know what's my communication style. I don't know what's my learning style. I know a lot of adults who don't know their learning styles. And I know that because I'm higher education and adult ed, and I know my students, when we've had those conversations in like career development, my students be looking at me like, Miss, I don't know what you're talking about, right? They're like, yeah, that's not something that that we have actually done. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like zoom in, but um I feel like StreamYard doesn't do a good job. So let's look at this table here. So this table is a really good outline. So like I said, all of the four different columns are going to highlight what the four letters identify. And then if you have a high D or a high I, the words that are closer to that row is going to describe who you are typically based off of your score. So if you are a high D, you're typically more demanding. But if you're a little bit low D, then you might be more deliberate. You may be agreeable. Same thing with each one of the other ones. So I think most of mine I have been high in most of my different categories. And then it will take you page by page, right? So page by page will basically tell you for each of the different of the four different components, it will give you an understanding for yourself. So my score shows a high average score on the D spectrum. Okay. And so that means that I'm pretty competitive in the things that you do on both the professional and personal side. And again, this is where you start having those realistic conversations with yourself. I know that especially the professional setting, I can be, especially my younger years. Oh, I had goals and I was out there, crushing them. And I'm like, I got to get these goals. These are realities, and you have to know what those realities are so that you can have that honest conversation with yourself. Um, you can be quick about your decisions when time is short, right? In some settings, that is very necessary. We might need that. You may miss smaller but important details. Now, you were here with me on Monday. What did I say on Monday? Monday, I said that I am a what? I am a visionary. So when you are a visionary, you're seeing the big picture, but you're not seeing those little small things. So when I reread this over the weekend, I was just sitting there like, yeah, you know your stuff, right? This is where I know I have to hire like the virtual assistant, the personal assistant, someone that's going to go and, look at all of those details because I'm looking at the big picture, right? You handle the small things. I could look at the big one. So it was just so confirming. So this is why I say, one, I'm thankful that I still have this report from 2021, because when I went back to revisit it, just to start having these conversations with you all, it gave me even more confirmation of the things that I'm doing and what I need to be focusing on. Right. So my I is an average score, a high average of I. And I'm typically, you like a flexible environment that allows for creativity. I do. You prefer an environment with ample people in contact. Now, honest Tanisha, and I always say this, and some of you may have heard me say this, the flesh Tanisha, I don't want any interaction, right? But the spiritual Tanisha, the connecting Tanisha, well, so it's always like two sides of the fence, right? Look at the third bully. You can be an effective coach. What's one of my jobs? I am a coach. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that's why I said, like, when you're looking at the personality assessment, you're looking at this, and you bring this together, you're going to start seeing overlapping. You're going to be sitting there like, am I missing something? Is there something in me that I'm just really not seeing, that all of these tools, all of these self-discovery assessments are leading me into this direction, but I'm just not seeing it. So this is the reason why I am opening up these conversations, because I don't want those people to continue to remain stuck. Or I want people to look at these reports and believe these are truly who you are. You just haven't tapped into it. You have not tapped into it. It sounds foreign. It doesn't make sense. You're probably just like, girl, leave me alone, Tanisha. Like, I'm good where I'm at, but you're not good with it, where you're at. Some people are truly not good where they're at because they don't know who they are and they're not doing the work. So this is where, as of right now, today, I am your coach, and I'm going to give you the guidance, right? If you take yesterday's video and today's video, you have two resources that you can sit over the weekend. We got a 3-day weekend. You can do this early in the morning before you start making them burgers and you start going to watch the fireworks. Sit down and do these assessments and pull these reports and have an honest conversation with yourself and with God and say, well, God, show me the coach in myself. Right? Show me, how I can, you tend to be generous with your time and helping others. God, help me to get to that space, because some of you might not be there. You might not even acknowledge it. So I really want you to take this and to say, okay, this is something that I really want to implement. And I want to help. I want to use this to help me to get to the life that I truly want. At the end of the day, that's all that I want for everyone. I want all of us to get to the space that we're living the life that we truly desire, especially if it's the life that God desires for us. And I want you to do it on purpose, with purpose. I want you to be out here operating at your maximum. I want you to make the money that is meant for you to make. My last my second half, I'm only getting paid to use my gifts, right? And so for some people, oh, that sounds impossible. No, it's not impossible, because guess what? If I can pick up the phone and call some of those people who are doing that, if I can go online and I can go and find those people, then I know that it is definitely possible. And some of those people use some of these same resources that I'm sitting here showing you. Same resources. Some of the biggest names that you follow, I know for a fact the DISC assessment, because when this first came out, when this became like really commercialized, where everyone and like other coaches were starting to use it, everyone was talking about the DISC assessment and was talking about their results. So this is real stuff. Right. So I'm just really showing you, and I wanted to show you a part of like my communication. So you see, they also will identify like your natural style pattern versus your adaptive style pattern, right? So those are also two different things. That's why I say we do have a natural state, but then we also have that state that we're like, to me, I call it the spiritual awakening. Like you just spiritually know, like, okay, I know I don't, my flesh doesn't want to do this, but I know that I'm supposed to do this. Those are the types of things that I'm referring to. What's the other page? Strength based. So remember yesterday I was talking about we're gonna I use these tools to identify our strengths. And the reason why that's important because one of the most annoying questions that we are always asked when we are doing job interviews is what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. Some people don't know what their strengths are, or some people would say strengths that it's like so before your interview you can go through this list and you can start realizing and start identifying, you know, what is it that I have my strengths in. So I know one of my strengths, I'm an excellent teacher, right? One thing I know, I know I'm a great teacher, right? And then so I'm an excellent teacher or I'm a coach, and I have proof of that because I've actually have done that. I'm coaching new faculty members, especially in situations requiring patience and specialized skills. Do you realize when I started teaching at 25 in the college, I was teaching the evening students, and so a lot of my students were older than me. They were in their 40s and their 50s. And we're talking about, I'm teaching them computers. So this was in 2010, 2011. A lot of those students had never touched a computer, or when they first touched the computer, it was the big computer that was like being stored. It was like the one brain in the whole company. So they had no no relationship and no understanding of how the personal computer went. So I had to grow a lot of patience. So now, natural state Tanisha, right? I'm not patient. I'm gonna be very honest. When I was younger, working at McDonald's, my family used to have bets on me. Okay, and this is me being honest. When I worked at McDonald's in college, my mom and my sister was like, "Well, we're gonna see how long you last because you know how you do, right?" Because I have no patience. But when they seen me, I got employee of the month after a month, right? I find patience. The patients show up because when I understand that some people truly just were not given the skills that they need to go out there and operate. And that makes me sad, right? Because it's like, dad, I'm thinking that I might have been born and, raised into a bad situation because my mother was a single mom. I had to grow up and realize I was a lot more privileged than most people. And I was given a lot, and I also learned a lot from a lot of amazing educators and community leaders and things of that nature. So when I was seeing my peers or people that was a little bit older than me, not, and this is not no shade to them, but some people didn't know how to do basic math, right? I had patience. So when I got to the classroom for the first time and I'm looking at that 40-year-old student who does not know what a mouse is, right? I mean, literally, I remember this the day I had said to the student, I was like, all right, everyone, look at your mouse. And the student screamed. And I'm like, what happened? And she was like, you said there's a mouse in here. And I was like, wow, right? The old Tanisha should have been like, are you serious? But it made me realize that we take so much for granted that we think everyone knows what a monitor is, what a CPU is. We think that we think that they know what a keyboard is, what a mouse is, and some people truly don't. So I had to grow into that patience, and it's still here, right? My coworkers still to this day, they would be like, Tanisha, actually got an email the other day, and this person was like, oh my gosh, like you're like a superhero, like you're always here to help me, and I ask some of the stupidest questions, and I'm like, it's not a stupid question, right? I understand you don't know the software, right? You know the different parts that you use every semester, but now if the company comes out with brand new features and you didn't learn it, it's my responsibility, especially if you come to me and say, hey, Tanisha, I don't understand this. What is Canvas talking about? Help me. I'm going to help you, right? I'm going to give you that. So sometimes these reports are going to confirm a lot of the things that you are already experiencing, which is going to give you confirmation. That's just solidify it, like you're on the right path. If you did one of these and you still have the report, go back and read it. If you're sitting struggling, talking about, I don't know what my strengths are, because what we can do And a lot of you, if you are brand new here, I am a life coach, right? I help people, and my ultimate goal is to help you to figure out and get you on the path of your purpose. We got to use some of these tools so that you can get there. I'm not going to know every single person, but when I start looking at reports like this and I can identify certain things, now we can have a conversation. Now, you know what? Tell me about this patient that I'm pretty sure that you have experienced, but have you experienced it yet, right? Have you identified? Are you aware? Okay. So I really want us to understand. So you have so much that you have access to. We just got to put it into play. We got to take it and make sense of it. Right. So the other part, remember I said about the ideal job climate, right? So here in this one for me, let's see. This one I don't fully resonate with, right? I don't care for public recognition for accomplishments. That's never been my thing. From a little girl, I still get flustered, and I'm like, guys, it's okay. You don't have to do all that. My coworkers, they do it all the time. My clients do it. That's why sometimes it's hard for me to even put out like testimonials, right? I don't have a lot of testimonials up. I have them, but I don't have a lot of them up because sometimes it's so hard to process. But I do understand from the business part, people need to see the testimonials. They need to see the reviews, right? So these are things that I'm just really cautious about. But I do look for building a network of people, right, and contacts, activities to get and maintain the attention of others. I'm good at that. So like icebreakers, right? I'm one of those people that are good for that. That's where the inspiration comes out. Activities where other with many opportunities for interacting with people, and that depends. It depends on what it is, right? If it's just to shoot the breeze, nah. But if we're learning something together, oh, absolutely, let's get this done together, right? Working on different tasks and multiple projects. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's me too. I'm really bad at that. I will work on multiple projects. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just showing you, and I'm not going to go through every single page, but I just want you to see, right, how you can take these types of reports and have a real heavy self-reflection. There's a lot of self-reflection that can go. This one report by itself, you literally can do about 20 self-reflections, right? If you don't know how do you communicate effectively, then this is where you need to go, right? Things to avoid to effectively communicate with Tanisha. So technically, you can use this, right? You can use this like in a dating scene. You could be like, look, this is how you don't communicate with me, right? You're not going to manipulate. You're not going to bully me, right? Don't leave the ideal plan without backup support. Oh, I'm big on that, right? Don't start no argument and being like, stats said, what's the stats? What are they? What's your resources? I saw a post this morning. The guy said he stopped talking to a girl because she was a librarian and she always came with references and citations. And I was laughing and I had comments. I said, oh, she was speaking to APA. And he was like, oh my gosh, do you understand? And I was like, I get that. I speak in APA, right? According to, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, but that's something that I'm big on, right? So I tell people this all the time. You have a lot of resources that are going to give you the tools that you need to be successful, right? The tools that are going to help you to identify your strengths, to identify your weaknesses, right? Ways and areas that you can improve upon. You can find all of those things between the personality assessment and this DISC assessment. And like I said, matter of fact, I'm gonna put the link. So like I said, that same website, mypersonality.net, they have a DISC assessment. I've never used this one, but they said that it's free. And my computer is not. They say that it's free. So I'm here to tell you that, I just encourage you to take your time and go and see if it is free version and take it, right? I think it is definitely one of those tools that are going to give you a really good insight. If you have the resources, I know back in 2021, if you just wanted to do the DISC assessment by itself, you had to pay like $100 and something. But I don't know if that's changed between now and then. But again, I always say some of these things are good resources for us to have. If you, oops, okay, that didn't go through properly. Yeah, that did not go through properly. So what you would need to do is just type in disc assessment free and look for the one that says mypersonality.net. It broke it up because it's such a long one. So sorry about that. All right. But I do want you to really take that time and say, okay, let me look at this and see how this is going to be beneficial to me. What can I grow and learn? Because that's what I want you. I want everyone to get to that point where we are unlocking the you that you have never met. And that is the one thing, because that you that you've never met, that you is going to come with joy, peace, happiness. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to be in a better space, right? And I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, come and do this so that you can, be an entrepreneur, have a business. Everyone is not meant to do that. But a lot of you are not where you want to be. You're not in the happy space. You're not working and doing the things that are going to tap into your strengths, right? You're playing it very safe. And this is not the season. This is not the time to play it safe, right? I'm not saying go jump up the handle and go quit your job, but I do want you to start thinking about, what, there are things out here that I do want to accomplish. There are things out here that I do want to do, but I'm afraid to, or I don't even think that I can. We're not having those conversations. So the one thing that I have added is I am offering free discovery calls. Right. If you are interested in taking the next step and saying, okay, you know what, I want to figure out who I am, right? You don't know what your purpose is. You don't know what you're good at. You're working somewhere that you're not happy. I want you to get on my calendar. It's a 15-minute, and I'm going to extend it for anyone as long as I don't have any back to back, but it will be extended to 30 minutes. And we can have this conversation. Now, if you do one of the two assessments before our call, 10 times better. 10 times better. If you do the personality or the DISC assessment, you sign up for your call and you come to the session with your report, that makes that conversation even better, because now I can quickly go through it and we can start identifying certain things, right? If you was here when I went through my own report and you saw there's certain areas we're going to instantly pull from, right? Because I want you to, that's where we're going to see the actions. That's where we're going to see transformation. If you don't know your strengths, if you're not tapping into your strengths, then that means that you're typically not doing everything that you're like called to do. And that's not going to be beneficial to you either. So I just really just wanted to have this. I have one more tool that we're going to talk about on Friday. This is not going to be today. Not going to be tomorrow, because tomorrow is Thursday. And y'all know what I do on Thursdays, throwback Thursdays. And so tomorrow will just be another message that I've done before. But Friday's message, I'm going to speak about the tool that I created that will be an addition to these two. So if you do decide to work with me on a one-on-one or in a group setting, we're going to use those three collectively, right? These three tools are going to be collectively brought together and to give you a better understanding, even more guidance as to where you should possibly head towards, right? At the end of the day, none of us can make anyone do anything. Right. I can sit here and tell you all of the great things about you, but you have to see that for yourself. Right. And I say that as someone that when I first had a life coach, I did not take action until maybe like 2 years later. And that's when I was just like, oh, I remember she was telling me this. And I remember I didn't do it. And I started to do these things and I started to see the results that I should have seen years prior. It was the same results that I would have had, but I took time. I took my time because I wasn't ready to face it. It didn't feel real enough to me. It was like, I don't know if this is real. Like, am I really capable of doing this? Am I really able? Let me tell you, the first time that I ever when I first time I ever offered my one-on-one coaching, and I worked with my coach, she had me at a high ticket, and I was so nervous about that. And I'm up here like, I don't even think I can do this. Like I'm doubting myself as a coach, and I'm like, nah, I don't think I can do this. And then to charge that much, and when she walked me through how to do it, she walked me through with the mindset to walk boldly into it. When I say to you, the first time that I had someone sign up for a $10,000 package, that made me realize that it's me stopping me, right? It's me not listening to any of these things that are being shown to me, that are being spoken to me. So again, I've had people speak this into my life since I was a little girl. I went to college, took a personality assessment, try to get me onto the path of education. I took it years later. It still was showing up. Did the disc assessment. 2010, became an educator just because I needed the money. I had no desire. I just did it because there was a need in my life. And then I stumbled upon and realized I actually enjoyed this. I get a lot more satisfaction and peace. But I didn't even realize that I was already operating in a form of purpose until 2015 when I met my friend. And she started speaking to me about purpose. And she was like, do you know how many people are already operating in purpose, but they don't even realize that is their purpose because they don't understand the term. They don't understand how all of these things come together and how they work together. When I say to you, some of you are probably already doing it, but you might be in the wrong environment. You might be doing it wrong, right? So I always think about teachers. I remember doing a professional development years ago, and like 2017, professional development for a DOE school, and I worked with the teachers. Half of them teachers was so miserable. And I remember I did end up working with one young lady, and one of the things is that she was ready to leave teaching altogether. And I was just like, are you sure about that? And she was like, yeah, I'm done with it. I don't want to teach anymore. But she was frustrated because her principal was making her teach math, and she was really excited to teach social studies. And so in her mind, if I can't teach social studies, then I don't want to teach at all. And I was like, well, wait, you're going to leave something that you truly know that's your purpose to do because you refuse to have a conversation with your principal to share that you have an interest in teaching something else. I know that math is not the easiest, especially the Common Core math, because they done changed everything. When I helped my niece with her math homework, I was like, girl, get somebody else to do it because I don't know what you're talking about. Like 85 steps to do 13 plus 12. They doing a lot nowadays. So you have to advocate for yourself. And so I told her, I was like, just speaking to you in the sessions that we've had, I don't think that you're not supposed to be an educator. You're just not in the right environment. And so again, when you look at that DISC assessment, that report is going to tell you what is your ideal environment. Now you have to decipher what does that actually look like in the present day, because this is just words. It's going to now look like the present day. So you also, when you're going into that job interview, you're paying attention. This might not be the ideal place for me, right? And that's because you know yourself, because you have done what? You've done the assessments. You have made that investment in yourself. I'm just saying it helps us. It gives us the answers that we need and gives us the guidance that we desire so that we can make the best decisions ever. And you may not make the best decision all the time, but guess what? It's better to have at least some form of a blueprint that can get you into the direction that you want. So I've been talking for a long time. So before we go, I am going to give you a prompt, something I want you to resonate on, especially if you were here yesterday and you're here today, but your personality style. Right? What is your personality style been trying to tell you that you've ignored? What is it? Something out there in one of these two reports it's like you know what it is. Sometimes you already know what that answer is. But what is it telling you that you have been ignoring? That is your prompt. That is what you need. That's your homework. That's your homework. Okay. And yes, Paula, it is so in depth. Right. That's why I like the fact that I was able to experience the paid version to get that full report. I think I am going to do the free version just to kind of see what the report looks like. But again, it's a starting point. Right. I understand some people, oh, well, if the free is not going to give me everything, but the free, I guarantee you the free is going to give you something that's going to get you closer to what you need. So it's better to have a piece of it. And then when you can really afford it, make that investment for a couple of $100 to do the full DISC assessment, or apply for jobs, and hopefully one of the jobs will make you take it for free. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm always looking for a shortcut somewhere, and if I can get a job to pay for something, I'm gonna have the job pay for something, right? But but yeah, so I hope this has been good information for you. I hope this has been good insight, right? Extra guidance, right, in your self discovery, because it's time for you to meet the version of you you've never met, and I can't wait for you to meet that person. I cannot wait for you to meet that individual and unlock all of those hidden skills, them hidden talents, and bring them to the forefront. So if you need to connect, if you want to get on my calendar, go to my link tree. The link tree is in the description. If you want to learn about my books, my community, my courses, my blog, there you go. Everything is right there. So do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. Okay. Paula up there laughing at me. All right, y'all. Y'all have an amazing day on purpose, with purpose. I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Have a good one, and I will speak to you all soon.